is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York calling from the quarantine zone again, and this time we are here with Patrik of Thyrfing. Thank you so much for being here today, man. It's great to have you here.
Thanks for letting me be here.
Yeah, it's so great to have you here. We're finally getting a new Thyrfing album, which is a Vanagandr. Do you just want to talk about like how the making of this album was in terms of like the songwriting and the recording? How did this album sort of see the light of day?
Um, yeah, it's been written over quite a long period of time. We released our last album back in 2013. Uh, and yeah, after a couple of years playing live for that album, we kind of started writing on the next one in about, I would say, maybe 2015. But yeah, things just started to go kind of slow for different reasons. Um, and also one of our founding member, the keyboard player Peter, left the band at about the same time. So yeah, it was kind of a hard blow, both when it comes to the creative process and also on the personal level, because yeah, we've been friends and bandmates for since we can remember. Um, so yeah, the years pretty much went on. We never really put the band on hold or to rest or anything. We were playing like some festivals and some shows every year, and kind of ah, just kept writing on the album really. And I mean, even though maybe we were not the most active band in the world, I felt that the material had some really great potential, and I really wanted the album to happen. Uh, and then in about, I think, the first months of 2020, we finally felt that this album was coming together, and we pretty much all the songs were finished. We had them in a pre-production. All the lyrics and the vocal arrangements started to take shape. Uh, so, um, so yeah, it was later on recorded last summer. The recordings went on from August into October, November, and yeah, then mixed and finalized about around the New Year's Eve. So yeah, now it's ready, and it's been a long wait for sure, both with having the album ready, but also since since the last release, which was
Yeah.
now 8 years back.
Yeah. Well, that's what I kind of
uh,
wanted to ask. Was this like a continuation of the previous album, De Odel? I'm sorry for the pronunciations, but is this just a continuation of the 2013 release, like a follow up to that, or was this meant to be a new start for the band in a way?
um, we were happy about that album in many aspects, and um, we always try uh, to keep things from the early days of even throughout our whole discography. There are things about every album that I think is great, and uh, it's never we never felt like now we let's just draw a line and start with a clean slate. But yeah, we also we learned and progressed a lot as songwriter and musicians, even during all these years, which you might call some kind of hiatus or a creative break or whatever. And we also realized that when the years started to pass by, that if we're going to release this album, it's going to be a big gap since the last one. So it has to be something which is really great, and that can it really needs to measure up to the old stuff, or even be even better. So that was maybe the basic goal we had, even though just getting better is a bit uh, not too concrete, but
Yeah. Well, it's being that you worked on this material for a while is what we're hearing on the new Thing album. Basically, how these songs were first initially written and structured wise, or did these songs maybe change a lot over a span of time between 2013 to now?
I would say they are pretty much as they do pretty much sound as they were originally written. And this time we did all the writing in a home studio environment, so we were able to record everything and let it give it a rest for a few days and then go back and listen to it. And sharing the song ideas between all the members and back and forth having some feedback. So we felt pretty confident about all the songs really before we enter the studio. There is always going to be some small things which you realize during the recording and mixing process that this won't work or we need something else here. But I think for the basic idea and concept, these songs they sound pretty much as they were originally intended and written.
Being that like you kind of go by this sort of Viking metal category, do you almost like consider your albums to be very conceptually driven in a way? Like, do you reference elements of mythology, you reference elements of the past and all that, but is there also maybe like personal experiences or your personal life that could be expressed in this music as well through instrumentation?
Yeah, I think we have a concept in some way, but not like it's a concept album with a story or so on. When the song needs to be in a certain order, so the songs are independent really. But when I think of it as I think you could say that we're a concept band maybe in that regard. That we are quite picky that everything feels right when it comes to music, lyrics, intros, artwork, how we kind of present the material live and so on. It has to feel like there's a strong thought and belief behind it. And for the lyrics, yes, you're right. There are some personal thoughts and observations put into that as well, even though the kind of style and the kind of language and phrasing we use is it's all put into the same kind of concept, which is based in, as you said, Norse mythology and history and so on. So we really want them to feel consistent in that way.
Is almost like research in a way, or like exploring literature and stuff as much as part of the songwriting as laying down the instrumentation and the writing itself?
Yeah, it could be. It could take a hell of a lot of time to write lyrics, while maybe when you, I think the music is something that you can, if you're lucky, you can come up with a song in an evening or something. Both the actual music and the riffs and also the arrangements, that could actually go quite fast if you're like in the right mood. And while the lyrics, at least for me, it takes quite some time, and some back and forth, and like letting them grow on you and trying them on yourself for quite some time. So I would say that probably the lyrics takes just as much time as the music, if not more.
Do you like to leave the music open to interpretation, or do you try to engage the listener into the meaning of the music as much as the music itself?
Do you mean with the song lyrics or the actual?
Yeah, with both.
Um, yeah, for the lyrics, they could certainly be open for interpretation. The problem there is that we maybe only 5% of our fan base can actually read the lyrics in a good way. I mean, at least if you count the later albums, which has only songs with Swedish lyrics. You can of course put them through a machine translation or something, but it wouldn't really make sense or make any wouldn't make any justice to them. It would be a bit strange, I think. but even for those knowing Swedish, or if you talk about English songs, it's yeah, the earlier lyrics were a bit more just retelling of existing tales and myths and so on. So that was a bit more storytelling.
Yeah.
Later on, we kind of weaved this. Maybe not on all songs, but a bit here and there, a bit of personal observations and thoughts, making it a bit more interesting, mainly for ourselves, I would say, because I mean, we really want to keep the concept and the topic here, but you know, you can't just tell the same story all over and over again. You have to find a bit new ways to do it, and I think that it was. Much because of ourselves, actually, we started that approach. So yeah.
Well, it almost seems like with it could go one of two ways. You could like write about the story, like just basically take a story and translate it into music. But then there's also like you could just respond to the story and maybe the music could be your interpretation of it. And I've always thought that that is the case with a lot of this music because even though we write what is deemed as Viking metal, which I still think that genre is kind of overblown too much, or pagan metal or whatever. It's 2021. We were never on a Viking ship, so I always feel like it's basically people expressing their imaginations and their interpretations of the music through the music of the story.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess it could be many things, and a bit of escapism as well, I think. But I would say that it's a certain feeling of the whole package that we think is important, and that we're after when we're trying to do the songs and doing the albums and the cover art or photo sessions or whatever. Um, and Yeah, I'm not too fond of these the labels that you mentioned either, and it kind of puts you into a category for sure.
Yeah, I would like to see
maybe more so than if you say you're a death metal band. Okay, you're a death metal band, then you can get away with quite a lot and so on. But this puts you in a different corner, really, and yeah. So, but I don't see it as a negative thing either, because it's also could also be a bit helpful for the band promotion wise, I think. So.
Yeah, to a degree. I think I've always said a really good way of trolling people would be to like dress up like Vikings, have the image of all these Viking bands, but then make your music sound like Bring Me the Horizon or something like that, and just really confuse people. Like, because does that make them Viking metal then? Because it doesn't sound like that at all,
No. Yeah, and I mean, Viking metal. What is that really? It could be death metal with Viking lyrics, which for example, like Amon Amarth or Unleashed or so on, or it could be something a bit more related to pagandom or whatever, with traditional instruments and having a more of a spiritual undertone to it, or it could be, but I think for us it's a thin line where we try to balance. I mean, in the end, we are playing metal music, in my opinion, and it's just the way how we present it and take our own take on it, and it should be based on the feelings of metal and rock music, the aggression, the adrenaline, and so on. And at the same time, we like to add some elements to it as well, maybe a bit more thoughtfulness, kind of a serious approach to it, which might sound a bit, I don't know, but.
Well, I consider the music.
I think.
I consider the music
Sorry?
to be. I consider the music to be very technically impressive. So I don't think anybody would consider Thyrfing's music to be a joke or to be, silly. I think the music is
Mm.
very technically impressive, and it even sounds like studied in a way. I don't know if any of you have a background in theory or anything like that.
Actually, not. Our drummer, maybe, but otherwise, we're self learned. And yeah, but I mean, on the other hand, you can also there are also bands with great musicians who are a lot better than us, which can still make music with a comedy style and going that route. So
Yeah. I mean, you should look up the death metal band Archspire. Their music is technically amazing, but they're the funniest people you'll ever meet in your life.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I know the name and I heard that they are yeah, they're really something when it comes to the musicianship and so on. But
Definitely. So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time today. Is there just anything else that you would like to promote for the release of this brand new album? It's coming out August 27th. Do you just want to, are there any shows that have been confirmed, knocking on wood, that they will happen?
now, just in case anyone missed it, we have a few singles and videos out now this spring, which I hope that everybody will check out before the summer. And then, yeah, hope they will give the album a chance when it's out. I know that there are many releases these days knocking on everyone's attention. But yeah, we put a lot of effort and heart into this one, so I hope that it will be heard.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everybody. We are here with Thyrfing. This is Alex from Heavy New York, and we will see you next time.